Central African time. It is Tech Africa, and we do have my first guest on the line. Now, 21st August marked World Entrepreneurs Day, a collaboration of bold, innovative, and creative entrepreneurs who not only create jobs but encourage growth in developing economies like ours. While South Africa boasts a vibrant startup and small business sector, the critical question remains: how do we sustain this booming startup growth while driving job creation? And I do have my guest on the line, and she is CEO and founder and lifelong entrepreneur. It is Shaun Fuchs, rather, and it's whom we are going to be talking to now. Shaun is on the line, and pardon me, it is a he. Good morning, Shaun.
Good morning, Puleng. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining us on Tech Africa.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So, Shaun, what role should technology play in future forward education for South African learners?
I think we've got to go a step back and we've got to look at the curriculum that we're offering our students. So, one, we understand that literally every or most students have access to a mobile device.
Yes.
The second thing is that our curriculum is, or at least was designed in the last century, so in the 1990s. And so much has changed, yet our curriculum hasn't adapted. And technology is the most obvious accelerator for learning, particularly with this generation of student. So one could leverage that quite substantially by including some form of entrepreneurship in the curriculum that is not only relevant, but also practical. And technology is that accelerator.
And Shaun, can you give us some of the specific examples of how technology then can be used to teach entrepreneurial skills as well as literal thinking?
Yeah, so for example, at Centennial Schools, we decided that we didn't just want to do what I think many other schools do, which is run a normal market day. So it builds up to a market day, and guess who does all the work? Mom and dad. And then they start selling to their friends and colleagues at work. And what are you actually teaching the children? Not much. So what we decided to do was create what we called Next Gen Founders. And Next Gen Founders was literally a version of Shark Tank or Dragon's Den. And our students had real practical examples of running a business. So they had to, we said they cannot do anything in food and beverage. Their customer base was parents, students, and teachers, and they then had to come up with a business. And we shortlisted that to 15. Once that was done, we spent 6 weeks where they went on master classes. We had entrepreneurial parents come in, and so you leverage off the community who help them with business plans, idea to concept. And eventually, the students then had to pitch to 5 judges exactly as they would in Shark Tank. And interestingly, our top 3 finalists were all grade 7 students, even though it was open to kind of grade 6 right through to grade 11. And what was quite interesting is some of the students used AI. So when we bring the technology in, they used AI to help automate sort of their routine tasks so that they could then focus on actually creating and running the business. And so they're using almost artificial intelligence as a partner in the business as opposed to just relying on it solely.
That's actually quite interesting there. You mentioned that you were very specific in terms of not resorting or rather using food and beverages a first thing that comes up, because I think it's always a go-to when you think entrepreneurship, acclimatizing learners with selling. So it's always the first thing to go to. But at what age can schools start promoting this and getting learners involved? Because in your school, you said you started from grade 6. Can we start at a younger grade, perhaps?
I do think we can, and we could always ensure that it's age appropriate. So, I mean, if I think so, I mean, I grew up almost with where you had toys that were tills and you'd open a little shop and you'd be selling things. I
Mm.
mean, that's absolutely fine because how do children learn? They learn through play, they learn through creativity. So there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't have it in preschool where we have elements of it and we actually can structure it properly so the play, the creativity in a structured environment could actually be quite a learning experience.
Mm. What policies or initiatives are needed to create a tech-friendly environment, Sean, and that environment that supports both startups' growth as well as the job creation space?
I think it's more a will than a policy because often you find that in many schools there are pockets of teachers who understand the use of technology in education.
Mm.
There are substantially more teachers often that traditionally have said, this is how I teach, this is how I'm going to continue, and it's worked for me. Actually, it hasn't worked because the world has changed so radically. And
Mm.
so, and that's of course the huge plus for us at Centennial Schools is the technology is in our DNA. Every single teacher understands it, embraces it, and we use it continuously right across the board. So again, I think it's more a will and an understanding than actually implementing policies. Once you've got that implementation, yes, of course, policies would need to come in to guide it, to structure it, to create the
Mm.
boundaries, etc.
Yeah. So did you have to take the educators through some training for some time so that every educator at the school is on par with tools and current AI tools as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone gets it. So you've got to go. But if there's a will, there's a way, isn't there?
Mm.
And one of the challenges we face, I mean, when you study cultural anthropology, you understand that the moment people are confronted with something new, we step back and we go back into what we know and what we're comfortable with. So one of the challenges you have when you are kind of almost disrupting a pedagogy of how we teach, you need to make sure that the teachers do not go back to their comfort zones.
Hmm. Okay, we are chatting now to Centennial School CEO and founder and lifelong entrepreneur Shaun Fuchs this morning, and we're talking about how we can start to implement or successfully implement AI tools in encouraging entrepreneurship in learners. Shaun, just before we wrap up this conversation this morning, what are the parting words that you'd like to leave parents that are listening, educators that are listening, and learners themselves that could be listening?
I think entrepreneurship is one of the absolute lifesavers, certainly of this country. We have a natural ability as entrepreneurs, as South Africans. And I really think parents should, if they see their kids are leaning that way, encourage it as much as possible. There are so many online facilities available and courses that don't cost very much or are absolutely free that students can have access to. And I would encourage the parents to get their kids on those.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaun, for sharing that with us this morning on Tech Africa. Have a great Sunday going forward.
Thank you.
All right. It